this is Mitch Stephen with 1000houses.com, and today I'm going to expose my plan of how I brought my days on market, or my DOM, down to just 4 days on average. That means when I put my houses up for sale, they are only up for sale for about 4 days until I get a contract. Now, it takes a little longer to exactly close, but that house is off the market and sold under contract within an average of 4 days. And this is the last 200 houses that I've posted for sale. Now, remember, that's an average. Sometimes things will go a month, but there are many houses I've sold before we even had the paint dry, so it's an average. Not every house has gone in 4 days, but it's the average. Okay. So let's start out with the problem that I had. And I had to solve a very specific problem, which was the very beginning that started to lead me down a path to where I am today. Now, if I'd have known what the end result was going to be, or where the destination was, I could have gotten there much faster, but I didn't know. This all just kind of evolved over time. And so it took quite a while to actually get into the portrait and the picture that it looks now. So that's the whole point of this paid tutoring session or lesson plan on how to arrive at a 4 days on market, is for me to shortcut this for you. So that's what I'm going to do here. The first inkling of problem was when I was getting too many phone calls to my salespeople. Too many. Now, that's quite the problem to have, right? Too many phone calls coming in for your properties, but it can be a problem. And this is why. This is what I was doing. And this is what was causing too many phone calls. I would say, I would have like 15 houses for sale with seller financing. And those 15 houses would be scattered. Our salesperson to sell the houses was to go out and put 20 bandit signs around the neighborhood where the house was, advertising the house for sale. Now, the house for sale sign would say 123 Main Street, for sale by owner. And then it might say $1,000/DN for down. And we'll talk about what those signs look like in a minute. But here's the point. We had 15 houses with 20 signs around the neighborhood and 1 sign in the front yard. That's 21 signs per house. That's 315 bandit signs out. And we're going, say like it's Friday, we're going into the weekend. There's 315 signs out. My salesperson's getting 150 to 250 phone calls over the weekend. It's way too many calls. And to top it off, a lot of those people calling are just tire kickers. It's just the neighbor across the street curious as to what the price is. And they go and they ask you all these questions and they waste all your time. And then at the end of the conversation, they tell you, well, I really am just a neighbor. I'm not really in the market for a house. I just wanted to find out about the house and see what houses in my neighborhood were going for. And it's like, well, geez, man, I just wasted 15 minutes of my life I'll never get back for nothing. So, and then there's people that really want the house and they're serious, but they just don't have any down payment. They don't have any down payment at all. No matter how much you emphasize, it requires a 10% minimum down payment, or this house requires at least 15,000 down or more. It doesn't matter. These people are still going to call and waste your time. So my salesman, by 11:30 or 12 o'clock Saturday afternoon, they've quit answering the phone. They're fried. It's just every time they hang it up, it's ringing again. And while they're on the phone, it's ringing. People are trying to break in. They got to go and listen to their messages. Their message box is filling up. People want to know about one of those houses. So it was crazy. And my job was to try to figure out how to quell that situation. So what I did was I invented livecom.com, LIVECOMM.com. And what livecom.com was supposed to do for me was, I could buy phone numbers there very cheap. I could buy phone numbers from a source very cheap. It costs about $2 a month. Big deal. So I got 15 houses for sale. I got $30 worth of phone numbers. Big deal. You know, these houses are worth a small fortune if I can get them sold for the price that I want or anywhere close. So I would get the 15 phone numbers, but these just weren't regular phone numbers. These were smart phone numbers. Smart phone numbers, you know, are the kind of phone numbers that they have a text distribution list attached to them. Every one of the livecom.com phone numbers has a text distribution list attached to it. And whenever someone calls your Livecom phone number or my Livecom phone number from their cell phone, the system captures the phone number and puts it into the text distribution list for later use by you and me. And we can simply text everyone who's ever called us for 2 cents per recipient, which is nothing. So I started to have this system built, and I had drawn the tree and what I wanted to do. But the main thing I wanted it to do was I wanted the smartphone number to be able to be forwarded to a recording. Because then if we take the property information sheet that we developed, which is about as long as my arm, okay, this sheet's, it's got everything on it. What year was the house built? How many bedrooms? How many baths? How much land is it? How many square feet of land is it? What are the measurements? Length and width? What school districts? Everything in the world you can think of. Is the stove electric or gas? Hot water heater, electric or gas? Is the roof, how old is the roof? 7 years? Well, it has everything I can think of to tell you about a house. And not only does it have the information pertaining exactly to the house, but it also, that recording also included information as to my offer to sell or finance it to prospective buyers out there, which means I was describing the sales price, the minimum down payment, the balance, you know, at 10% for 30 years, and this would be the PITI payment plus the servicing fee. All of it added together was a total PITIS payment. Okay. And what they would have to do if they wanted to own this house. What were the requirements? What would they have to give me? What were my expectations and what could they expect? So this is what happened. I made the recording. And when I say I made the recording, I had the property information sheet, which had everything in the world on it. If you come up with something that I don't have on that sheet that you think needs to be on there, that some prospect asked you and it wasn't on that sheet, call me and let me know. We'll add it to the sheet, because the whole point of that property information sheet is that there should be no more questions left to ask about this house, period. The idea is when a prospect calls, it's all there. It's delivered. It's delivered in its entirety and it's accurate. Okay. So let's say a caller calls one of my signs. The Livecom smartphone number is forwarded to a recording. We've made the recording and the recording says, thanks for calling about the property at 123 Main Street. That property is, and then you just start reading the sheet. It is a three bedroom, 2-bath home with a 2-car garage. It has a lot that measures 150 by 50, and it's a total of 5,000 square feet, whatever. And it goes all the way down through. You're just reading the property information sheet. Now, at the end, I did something very, very different, okay? You can look at it one of two ways, but the cool thing was I was capturing the cell phone numbers of everyone who was listening to that recording. So I was never going to miss anyone, but I chose to tell everyone at the end of the recording, I still didn't give them our phone number. At the end of the recording, it would say, now, if you think that 123 Main Street is the property in the house for you and your family, then this is what you do. You get you and your family into the car, you drive to 123 Main Street, you get out, you look at the front yard and you walk around the side and you go in the backyard and you look all around the house and you look through the windows Okay, look through the windows and check out the neighborhood. And if you still think this is the house for you and your family, and you definitely have X amount or more for a down payment, then go call the green phone number in the back window. Wow, that changes everything. Those 150 to 250 calls that my salesman was having to endure, not only was he having to endure them, but he wasn't even accomplishing what I needed to get accomplished when he picked up the phone. I mean, they're supposed to know everything about these houses, but they don't have everything memorized. Then they're supposed to carry 15 property information sheets with them at all times so they can flip through and get all the information accurate, but they don't. They don't. So they're answering the phone part-time, they're giving partial information, and even part of that information is incorrect. So the sales side of the equation wasn't helping me at all. It, in fact, was probably hurting me. But now I got these smartphone numbers. They're capturing the cell phone of every incoming caller if they call from their cell phone, which is 99.99% of the people, because they're calling off a bandit sign. Bandit signs are out in the field, and people don't carry around a landline on their back when they're out in the field driving. They're going to be calling from a cell phone. And by the way, that collection system is going to blow your mind when I tell you where it went. So here we got these salesmen. We've corrected the process. Now people call on the house and they get a recording. This recording will answer at 6 in the morning on Sunday, and it will answer at 11:30 at night on Friday night. It never not answers. It always answers. And if you get the information correct when you fill out the property information sheet before you read it into the recording, if you get it all correct, then that message is delivered correctly every time too. All the information is accurate, it's timely, and if you have a little pep in your voice and a smile on your face when you're reading it, it sounds joyful every time, no matter what time it is. It sounds professional. If you make it professional, it's going to sound professional every time. So you get my drift. You get this recording right, and you've got a hell of a sales tool here. So now we're starting to collect all these phone numbers. Boom, 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 boom. And it was great. In the early stages, we would text everybody, say like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, whenever we were going to have a showing for one person at 6 o'clock in the evening. We text everybody about 2 or 3 in the afternoon and say, hey, we're going to be over at 123 Main Street at 6 o'clock this evening. There'll be an open house. If you want to come on over. I'll be there with the lights on. You hit send. 2 cents a person. Woohoo, big deal. When you get there to show that one client the house at 6 o'clock, there's 10, maybe 15 other people in the front yard waiting for you. Now, this really, really, really helps in the quality of buyers that you get, in the amount of down payment that you get. Of course, the more down payment we get, the better. So when we started out, we had a 10% down payment as a minimum. That was the least we would take. And as we progressed through and started getting more and more popular through some strategies that I'm in the process of telling you, those down payments went into just under 15%. We now average down payments just a little less than 15% when we used to average 10%. And that's a good thing too. So what happens when there's 10 or 15 people in the front yard, when you go to show one person a house, that means there's some competition for the house now. There's a sense of urgency instilled in all the people that are there, and a sense of, I might need to come up with a little more down payment than I wanted to, because I'm going to be competing with these other buyers. And I always make it known, because anytime you go to an open house with a handful of people, someone always says, especially when it's a seller financed home, someone will go, well, what if we all want to buy the house? How are you going to decide who it goes to? And that's when I always reply, well, I think the person I have to look at the hardest is the person with the most down payment. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's the person I'm going to go with, because there's other factors. There's other factors that I need to consider because I want to sell this house to one person, one time, and I never want to see this house again. I'm not in the business of taking houses away from people or taking houses back. I'm in the business of selling houses. So I'm going to look at a lot of criteria. What is your pay history like? What is your job like? How much disposable income do you have? I need to have at least a reasonable reason to believe that you can even make the payment. It doesn't matter how much down payment you gave me. You've still got to make the payments every month. And I need to make sure that I think that's going to happen because I don't want anyone to lose their down payment and lose the house. So that's my pitch on that. If you change the price, you could send out a text to everyone who called on 123 Main Street and change the price. If you change the down payment, you could say, I've decided to take a lesser down payment if you'll take the house as is and fix it yourself. You could send all that out. You could send a link with all the pictures of the house now that it's been remodeled and that the remodel is complete. You can do all kinds of things with a smartphone number and text messaging. And by the way, how often does a text message get listened to or get reviewed? All the time, right? Ask yourself, how many text messages have you ignored recently? The answer is probably 0, right? But I think the national open rate is like 96 point something percent. I don't know. Seems a little low at 96% because I guess those other people don't open their text messages because they're dead or drunk or something. I don't know. But who the heck doesn't look at their text messages? I don't know. But even if that 4% is true, 96% open rate for 2 cents to a customer that's already called you, that's already raised their hand and said they're interested in your product. This is like the most effective marketing ever in the world. For 2 cents, you get to communicate with a 96% plus open rate to a customer that wants your product and has called you, and it basically let them know that they're still interested in your product. It's a bullseye right between the eyes for 2 cents a person. 2 cents a person times, if you have 10,000 people on that list, that's $200 to hit 2,000 interested customers. That's ridiculous. Ridiculously low. It's the best value in advertising ever in the history of the world. Even if you want to include the cost of money for plastic signs, it becomes ridiculous. Whatever you want to, however way you want to slice it. So here I am. I had these salesmen that were overwhelmed. They were getting too many calls. They weren't answering. They're delivering incomplete and incorrect information. And now my prospects are getting answered every single time. Every bit of information so complete, it'll make you giddy. It's just a very complete detailed description of the house and the price and the seller finance terms being offered, and always correct. And now my prospects are vetting themselves. The serious ones are doing what I told them to do at the end of the recording. They're driving to the house, they're getting out, they're walking around, and if they're really serious, they are calling the phone number in the back window. Why is the phone number in the back window? Because it's the only place to hide the number. If I put it in the front window, everyone will be calling me. They won't have heard the recording. That phone number in the back window has my salesman's phone number on it. Okay? My salesman's phone number. And by the way, that's a live comm phone number too. My salesman's phone number is a live comm phone number. And why is that? It's a live comm phone number forwarded to his cell phone. Why is that? It's mandatory. He has to do it like that. Because if he ever leaves, if he was using his cell phone with his cell phone number on all the cards and all the buildings and everything, he's going to leave, and all my customers and all my clients are going to be calling him even though he doesn't work for me anymore. Now, he's either going to be in business for himself, probably doing what he was doing, but for himself. So he's actually stealing all my customers and making a profit off of them. Or He's gone into a completely different field of business, and people are calling him and he's saying, I don't care, I don't work there anymore, and hanging up on him. Either way, it's tragic for me because I lost all my goodwill for the year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years that he worked for me. All those customers have lost my phone number now. If you use a LiveCom number for your salesperson or for your acquisition people, then when they quit, you just unforward the LiveCom phone number, unforward it from their cell phone number, and forward it to the new salesman or to the new acquisition guy. Okay. So, when I first originated the idea for LiveCom, all I wanted was the smartphone numbers to go to a recording. And then they told me I could capture the phone numbers. And then they told me we could add all these features. And I'm going to talk about the features that we have later because the features are a lot. But I went to them and the developer said, this is a really, really, really good idea. I said, how good an idea do you think it is? They said, really, really, really good. And I said, okay, you want to own half of it? And they said, well, we'd love to own half of it, but how do we do that? And I said, well, why don't you build it for free and then you can own half of it? See, I was just trying to go get a piece of software that would help my business run better, that wouldn't cost me an arm and leg. I looked at other companies out there that were doing similar things. They didn't really have it tailored how I wanted it. And they were charging me 5, 6 to 10 cents per text and per minute for the recording. And it just didn't cost near that much. It shouldn't cost near that much, I didn't think. So, and I didn't want to pay that kind of price. So I was looking into building it myself. Then the developer thought it was a cool idea. And then they decided they would build it for free if they could own half of it. I said, great. Now, if you build it for free and you're going to own half of it, you're going to have to do a little extra work. You're going to have to make it be able to have a subscription service, make it so that it can take credit card payments and make sure. So you're going to have to build a little bit more, because if you're going to build it and it's going to be worth anything, we have to have subscribers and we have to make a business out of it. Otherwise, I'll just use it for my company and make my money there. They agreed to build out LiveCom. And one of the reasons they said, well, why would you do that? And I said, because I don't know how to talk to you technology guys. Every time I get and I want to build something with these tech guys, I always end up wasting my money because I don't know how to police you guys, because I don't know your language. I don't know what you're doing. I can't even look to see if you're doing it right. I mean, you could be coding this thing all in the wrong direction and I wouldn't know. I have no way of knowing. So I figure if I'm giving you half of the product you're building, then if you develop a really crappy product, then you'll own half of a crappy product. And if you develop a really good product, you'll own half of a good product. And I'm just going to assume that you're going to want to own half of a really great product. And so you'll build a great product. And so that was my rationale. So I got it built for free and I own half and the developer owns half, and we're friends and we offer it to the public. So now let's talk about features and how to use LiveCom, because these were some of the features that I built in that at the time nobody else had, and I still don't know if they have them. One is the instant hello. The hello button. The hello button. Every phone number that you buy from LiveCom has a list of options or features, and if you turn the feature on for that phone number, then it's on for that phone number. One of those features is the hello button. If you turn the hello button on, it means anytime an incoming caller calls that smartphone number, not only will their phone number be put in the text distribution list, but they'll also receive a text from you saying whatever it is you want to say to them. Because when you click on the hello button, you have to fill out the field. What text do you want to be sent to them? The minute they start listening to the recording, they're going to get a text. And it's going to say whatever you type in this field. Now, keep in mind, text messages are 240 characters or less or whatever. You got to keep it short, keep it succinct. I used the hello button to convey a text message that had my Facebook business page. It would say, my hello message would say, to see all of my inventory, please go to facebook.com and search Casas Dueño a Dueño SA. Now, for those of y'all not big in Spanish, that is homes owner to owner San Antonio, or SA. Homes owner to owner San Antonio. Casas Dueño a Dueño SA. So what I wanted to do was drive them over to my Facebook page. Also in my hello message, it said, to see all of my inventory, go to facebook.com and search Casas Dueño a Dueño SA. And be sure to follow us and like us so that you'll get notified every time we post a new house into our inventory. Now, you got to tell people what you want them to do. I wanted them to go to Facebook and I wanted them to follow. And I had to give them a reason why they wanted to follow, because you'll be notified every time we post a new inventory up there. Does it work exactly that way? Sometimes, sometimes not. But I need them to go over there and follow. We post a lot more than just inventory. We post when people sell their houses to us. We post when people buy our houses. We post sometimes a little bit of the remodel that's going on in an address. You know, we always have the buyers with the exaggerated key, or holding up their paperwork, or holding up their physical key, you know. And then you can also train your buyers what to expect. You know, you can train your buyers to say, you know, in your Facebook business page, amongst the pictures, you can have a little thing, how to buy a house from Casas Dueño a Dueño. You know, how do you do that? And there's a video or a page with some bullet points. You know, you'll be required to give $2,000 of your down payment up front. It's non-refundable if you're approved, and it's refundable minus, you know, $50 per credit report if you're turned down, or however you want to do it. You know, but you tell them what is going to be required, so that when your salesman asks them for $2,000 made out to Moat Management LLC, they've already heard that. They heard that on your business page, so they're not reluctant anymore. They're actually expecting that. Some of them will even have the check in their pocket already made out to Moat Management LLC, and they'll go, okay, well, I got my $2,000, and here's my folder with my check stubs and my proof of income, and this is a list of my liabilities and my payments that I have to make every month. This is what you asked for on your Facebook page. So here, you know, it's really, really a great way to train your buyers and your prospects, and to relieve them of the anxiety of having to give a stranger a check for $2,000, you know? So there's another feature called the Instant Call Connect button. And if you turn that button on for a phone number, then anytime someone calls and they're listening to your recording, you or your salesman, or both of you, will receive a text that says, someone from this phone number right here is listening to the recording for, and it'll say whatever you've named that phone number. If you've named that phone number 123 Main Street, then it'll say somebody from this phone number right here is listening to the recording on 123 Main Street right now. It poses the question, you want to give them a few minutes to get through the recording and then call them, because they are engaged with your house right now. Now, we usually use the Instant Call Connect button when the house is moving slow. As I said, we're averaging like 4 days on the market. Let's say I got a house and it's coming up on 20 days on the market. Something's wrong. Something is wrong. So I need to call back these people that called about that house, or that went out to see that house, or that are listening to that recording. And, you know, sooner or later you find out that the reason why the house isn't moving is because the neighbor's coming over and telling everybody that there was a suicide committed in the front living room or in the back bedroom. And so, you know, people, especially the Hispanic culture, are a little superstitious, can be a little superstitious, and they won't buy a house that there's been a suicide or even a natural death in, sometimes if they're aware of it. Now we're required by law in Texas to disclose if there was a violent homicide committed on the property, a violent crime or violent death. But suicide or natural deaths, we are not required to disclose. But still, people are afraid of suicide. So now I know, because I talked to some people that were potentially out there looking at my house. I know what the problem is. Now I can go over and talk to the neighbor and praise him for watching over my house, and just, let him know that when I sell the house, I'm going to be paying him $500 just for keeping an eye on the place. Now, I never said, would you idiot, would you quit telling people about, useless crap that's not going to bother anybody? If someone committed suicide in the house, it's neither here nor there. That event is over. That house is still going to be lived in by someone. It's not going to be haunted. It's not going to be anything. It's just going to be a house, just like probably 70% of the houses in the world have had someone die in them. Certainly the hospitals have, and we go there all the time. So anyways, the point is, when a house is moving slow, or the salesman's bored, or you just want to talk to your clients and see what's going on out there in the world. Why is this house taking 20 days to move when normally it takes 4 days? You can turn that instant call connect button on. Now, it also invites the caller to connect with the salesperson, because not only does it say someone from this number is calling about the recording on 123 Main Street right now, it also goes on to say, if you would like to speak to a live representative, do not hang up, and you will be connected to a live representative immediately. So if the caller just hangs on and doesn't hang up, he's going to ring the salesman's phone number. This is called instant call connect. Your salesman has a chance to connect with the caller, and the caller has a chance to connect to the salesman. Okay. You can also there's a whole lot more features, and I'm not here to sell LiveCom. The only reason I'm talking to you in LiveCom terms in the first place is that's what I use. I don't know how to talk to you in any of the other platforms that are out there, because I don't know how much they cost. I know that I'm cheaper than all of them. I know that I have features that they didn't used to have. I don't know if they have them now or not, but I developed these features for a reason. It's because it's what I needed to sell houses. I developed it specifically to sell houses. Now, oddly enough, every business in the planet should want the cell phone number of their customers and should be able to text them. Pool companies, put out a billboard that says top 5 things you need to consider before you commit to a pool company. Free recorded message. They call that billboard, and here you are. Top 5 mistakes people make when they buy a pool. Put that on a billboard with a phone number that says free recording. People are likely to call free recordings. You know why? They deem them as unconfrontational. They're not going to be talking to a live person. No one's going to confront them. Now, little do they know, it's not confrontational while they're on the recording, but they're going to get confronted by me or my people soon enough, depending on the circumstance. But my point is, any business in the world could use LiveCom. If they're selling anything or they have a service, there's ways to use it. You want to know how to use it for a different business? Send a text message to support at livecom.com and get a hold of me, or ask the question. I have a carpet cleaning service. How can I use it? I have a pest control service. How can I use LiveCom to up my business? I sell pools. I sell lawnmower equipment, whatever. There's a way to use LiveCom to increase your business. So let's talk about Facebook and setting up the Facebook business page. I can't go through it with a fine-tooth comb with you, because no matter what I do, the Facebook police are going to do what they're going to do. But it'll be not all that challenging, since I'm warning you right now, but make sure that the picture for your home sales company is diverse and shows as many nationalities and creeds and colors as possible. If you just put up one white family up there standing in front of a house, they're not gonna let your page open, because you're showing some kind of bias, right? So make sure it's maybe a collage of pictures, you know, Hispanic couple over here, older couple over here, a black couple over here, an Asian couple here, a mixed couple, I don't know. You know, if you have to just keep answering the objections by the Facebook police until you get your page up. And then use your hello message for each house you're advertising, for each phone number, to drive people over to the Facebook market page. Okay. Once you get about 3,000 people in your list, either the text distribution list or 3,000 people following your Facebook page, that's pretty serious people. I mean, they're not following you because, you know, they just want to be nice. They're following you because they want a home with seller financing, period. Okay. And they're checking in on it, and hopefully they followed you, you know, so that they're getting notices every now and then when you post. And when you get to about 3,000 people, you'll have about 10 to 15 days on the market. When you get about 6,000 followers, it'll drop. It'll drop to less than 10. I'm at 4, and it's unbelievable. And it went to 4 when COVID hit. It was at 9, and then COVID hit and it went to 4. Now, I don't know if that coincided with my amount of followers being at 3,000, and then COVID hit, and then I was kind of up to 6,000 because people didn't have anything to do but get on a computer. And so I'm not sure exactly what COVID had to do with it, but I know that when COVID hit, my days on market dropped. It could be a coincidence. It could be that about the time COVID hit, my numbers went up. Now, you can put these numbers all around the neighborhood for these signs, and say like in my example, I had 15 houses. I had 15 phone numbers. You know, I had 15 sets of 21 signs in different areas. Whenever I sell that house, I sell 123 Main Street, I just assign that phone number to a different house. Of course, I got to change the recording to fit the new house that I'm assigning it to, but I don't take the phone numbers out or delete the phone numbers. I don't care what owner finance house someone called about. I just cared that I captured their phone number. I don't care which house they called about. So in LiveCom, I could text just the people that called this phone number, or I could put a check mark in every phone number, and I could send out a text to all 10,000 people that ever called one of my phone numbers. Okay. Now when you get to 6, 7, 8, 9,000, 10,000 followers, you want to even think, you don't even have to use signs now. You don't even have to put any signs out for your houses. You just got 7, 8, 9, 10,000 people following you on this seller finance page, Casas Dueño a Dueño SA. You don't even put any signs out, not even one. We don't even put signs out now. We don't have to. We don't have to. If you want to jumpstart your list of owner finance buyers' phone numbers, then you can also put out generic signs. Pick a phone number, assign it to, you know, generic free list of owner financed homes, bandit sign. That's what you name it. Bandit sign, owner financed homes. That's what it's named. And you can put that generic sign out all over town that says free list of owner financed homes, free recording, and a phone number, a LiveCom phone number. And in the recording, really doesn't matter what you say, because all that matters is that you capture the cell phone number of the guy who's interested in a seller finance home. That's all that really matters. But maybe your recording says something like, because you've called this phone number, you've been put on a text distribution list. Anytime we have an owner financed home come available, you can go to, you'll be sent a text message. You'll also be sent a text message to go like and follow our website on Facebook, our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com and search Casas Dueño o Dueño, or just check your text messages, because you've probably already received a text telling you to go to Facebook and search Casas Dueño o Dueño SA. The reason why we sent it to you in a text is so you don't have to remember it or write it down. You already have it on your phone when you hang up. So good luck, and we hope you find your owner financed home by us soon. Goodbye. Now remember, recordings cost 2 cents a minute, and text messages cost 2 cents per recipient. Chump change. But you would want to edit down your recordings to be as efficient as possible. Why say something in 10 minutes if you can say it in 3 minutes, because it's costing you 2 cents a minute? You know what I mean? So, but big deal. If you have 100 people call about your house on 123 Main Street, and the recording's 10 minutes or it's 7 minutes, who cares? It's not worth worrying about, because when you sell that house, you're going to make, $15, $20, $25, $30, $40, $50,000, right? Or more. So it's all chump change. Now we pay our salesperson 3%, of the sales price, just like realtors. And we did that on purpose, because sometimes we get realtors that want to sell our houses, and we just figured if we just made the commission 3%, then we could play both sides of the fence. We could, if we wanted to list it on MLS and sell it, we listed ourselves. My partner's got access to MLS. He's a broker. There's other ways to get access to MLS if you're not a broker. Like you could put up flat fee listings where you only pay like $200 or $300 to list the property, and then you pay the sales real estate agent, the one who sells the house, 3%, or maybe you give them a bonus 4% and pay them a little bit better than everybody else if you really want your stuff to move or be seen first. But so that's why we made it 3%, because sometimes we go with the realtors. But here's the cool thing about a seller financed home. You can always add 3% on top of whatever you think the value is, because we don't need an appraisal for me to seller finance you a house. I'm the guy giving the loan. I'm the underwriter. And if you and I can agree on a down payment and the payments for my house, then we'll just go to closing. You know what I mean? So I pay 3%. I only pay when the deal's final, so I'm paying my salesman with money that's already brought to the table. I'm paying it out of the down payment and the closing costs, So on a $100,000 house, we're averaging about 15%, or averaging about just a little less than 15,000. And then our people have to come with closing costs. Closing costs are usually about 2,500. And so if we do the rent formula and we go through the rent formula right, and we establish an owner finance value through the rent formula, and let's say that value is $112,000. Well, I might just go ahead and make it $115,000 and pad it $2,000 or $3,000 to cover my salesman's commission or my realtor's commission. We don't have to have appraisals, as long as that $3,000 doesn't deter someone from buying the house. We don't have to worry about appraisals or anything like that. So I always like to make the realtor, if the realtor is putting it on MLS, I figure out what their 3% is costing me, and I add it to the amount of down payment that they need to bring me. So if I'm used to getting 10% down, and the realtor says, they want to, this realtor wants to sell my house, I say, great, you don't need to get 10% down, you need to get at least 15% down. You know, they're only asking for 3%. So I guess I could say you need to get 13% down. That'd be my 10% plus his 3%. And then I could tell him his sales price is $3,000 higher than what I have out there, but he needs to put it in MLS at you know, enough to cover his commission and make them earn their commission. You know, they want to charge $4,000 to sell your house, and add that $4,000 onto your owner financed home. That doesn't work on traditional homes where you're asking what the appraisal is and you can't go over the appraisal. You know, so if the appraisal is 115,000 and your realtor is going to charge you, you know, $6,000 to sell the house, you can't add $6,000 on top of 115 because the appraisal is only coming in at 115. Okay, but in seller finance houses you can. So let's have a quick overview to shorten your days on market and get it down there to something that's really impressive. You know, 15 days or less. I'm down to 4 days, but you know, I got it down to a science and I'm a long way down the road. But when you start out, you know, it takes a little time to get this done. But step number one, get with a phone service that has a lot of features that we need. I'm suggesting Livecom. It's the only one I know to talk to you about. So Livecom, LIVECOMM.com. Buy some phone numbers, assign it to some properties you have for sale, make a recording, put out your 20 signs around the neighborhood and the one in the front yard. If you're getting beat up with phone calls, you may want to make those buyers vet themselves by not being able to contact anybody unless call the phone number in the back window, which is generally the salesperson's direct phone number. You do that until you have about 3,000 phone numbers. If you really want to amp up the amount of phone calls coming, go out and put out, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 or 500 generic signs that say, the bandit signs that say free list of owner financed homes, free recorded message, and then put your Livecom smartphone number there, and everyone will be calling for a free list of owner financed homes. That means they're your exact customer that you want, and you'll be capturing their phone numbers. Again, doesn't really matter what you say on that recording. What matters is that you captured the phone number. But you should be driving them to the Facebook, and you should set up an automatic hello response to anyone who calls any of these numbers, and it should be driving them to your Facebook business page. And once you've driven enough people over to your Facebook business page, you will not need to use signs anymore. How much is enough? 3,000, you're doing really good, but that's not enough to stop putting out signs. You got to keep putting out signs until you get to about 6 or 7 or 8,000 people. You have to judge the caliber, but around 6,000 people, you'll start selling your house in under 10 days. And that's just the people following you on the Facebook business page. Okay. So the more signs you put out, the faster you put out signs, the more your list will grow. The faster your list will grow, the sooner you won't have to put out signs. And so that concludes my little dissertation here on the on how I got down to 4 days on the market using technology and some plastic signs and Facebook. Be sure to check out my book, Failing Forward to Financial Freedom. This is a story. It's not really deep into how-to, but you could learn a lot from this, especially if you're a young entrepreneur getting ready to go out there and get kicked around a little bit. This was my whole thought process through that falling down and getting back up over and over and over again, and how to keep morphing, and how I used my head and my brain and the thought processes I went through to be able to buy a house every 4 to 5 days for over 2.5 decades. That's about 100 houses a year for over 25 years. So that shows, this book depicts kind of how a dumbass figured out how to get that done. The second book is My Life in 1,000 Houses, 200 plus ways to find bargain properties. This will really get your mind going. This was pre-LiveCom. However, lot of good stuff in here. I've used LiveCom to do a few things for purchasing, but really this book is about a whole different kind of effort, and it's about thinking outside the box and looking in places that the average person is not going to look for a bargain property. Then last but not least, My Life in 1,000 Houses. This is the end of a 3-book series, My Life in 1,000 Houses, The Art of Owner Financing. This book is worth $1 million. I usually charge about $50 for it at 1000houses.com. Some people go, why is that book so expensive? I just kind of have to tell them, once you put the book down and step away from it, you're not ready. This book is worth $1 million to anybody who wants to implement what's in here. It could absolutely be worth $1 million to you. It has been worth millions and millions to me. And I just got out there and laid it all out on the line for you. I also have a book called The Art of Private Lending. This is how I raise private money and how I talk to people about loaning me money and what's behind their money, the paperwork, the collateral, how private lending works. If you want to learn how to lend money, this is a great place to go, this book right here. And if you want to lend money but don't want to have a job, then maybe you can lend money directly to me or someone like me, and we'll just send, we'll do everything that is required in this book to protect everyone. And you can just keep playing golf, and we'll send you an interest check every month and a principal and interest check every month. So check it out, The Art of Private Lending. And then I wrote a book that was not about real estate. I quit drinking and smoking on the same day on August 1st, 2019. And I didn't use a doctor or a therapist or a patch or a pill or anything. And this was my thought process about how I planned for it, how I prepared for it, and how I got through it. By the way, if you are a heavy drinker, it could be very dangerous to quit cold turkey without a doctor's supervision. Why I didn't die when I quit drinking cold turkey at the, in 1 minute, I quit smoking and drinking. Why I didn't have complications from that, I don't know. I have since learned that a lot of people can have some pretty severe complications if they quit alcohol cold turkey. And even I know of some people that have died from it. So be very careful about that. But this is a book called Enough, and it's about how I quit drinking and smoking and how I lost about 65 pounds. It's completely off the topic of real estate, but the only reason I bring it up is it's gotten so much popularity, or it has drawn so much attention, that I feel like there's a segment of people out there, especially us entrepreneurs, AAA, go, hard charging, ADD, crazy business guys, that there's a problem with abuse and addiction. So I'm giving that book away. If you want to go to 1000houses.com/enough, you can get the digital book free right now. It's more of a community service than I'm not in that for the money on that book or that topic. You can also order it. If you want a physical book in your hand, you can order it at Amazon or at my website, 1000houses.com. But the digital book can deliver to you for free, 1000houses.com/enough. And that's without the exclamation point, just 1000houses.com/enough. All right, my friends, I hope that you enjoyed this. If you're interested at all in a weekly communication with a pro, just to run past them what you're doing, what you're thinking, how you might approach a situation, how you could up your game, how you can stay out of trouble, all kinds of things. We have a Tuesday night call every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. check it out. There's a free archived recording at 1000houses.com underneath free stuff. Listen to that recording of how one of those Tuesday night calls goes. It's usually between 15 to 40 people on the call. The commitment on that call is that we're going to answer every single question. Usually lasts about 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes. Although our commitments to answer every question, we'll be begging for mercy around 2 hours. But if someone really, really, really needs their question answered, then you just leave your hand up and we will get to you no matter how long it takes. I've been on that call a few times for over 3 hours, but we were having fun. It was the holidays. And if I remember correct, might have been some eggnog involved, but but check out the Tuesday night call. Look, if you're in this business and you don't have a coach that is an expert in the strategy that you're trying to work, then you're making a big mistake. I mean, whether the coach is me or someone else, take me off the table for a second. You got to have a coach, because you're either going to pay the street in mistakes and bad choices that a coach never would have let you do, or you're going to pay a coach. The coach is probably going to be the cheapest option. You won't know it because you won't know how much money you lost, or you wouldn't know that you could have stayed out of this trouble or not have gotten in this lawsuit. But a coach is probably going to be the cheapest way, and it's the path of least anxiety. You have someone to talk to once a month, what they're doing. I know sentences that can up your game more than that call costs. So if you're interested in the weekly Q&A call, the group coaching call, then just email support@1000houses.com and say, I'm interested in more information for the group coaching Tuesday night call. And someone will get with you. That's support@1000houses.com, 1000houses.com. And just say, I'm interested in group coaching. Someone talk to me, please. And we'll get it over to you. Or you can go listen or read about it on my website at 1000houses.com. All right, my friends, I appreciate you taking the time and honing up your house selling skills. I hope I've been an asset to you. This is Mitch Stephen. I'm out of here.
Well, I've had enough of this 9 to 5. This desk and chair robs me of my